last week on Legally Kidnapped.
Good evening. Our top story this week. The state of Connecticut is suffering from a mass exodus of foster parents as they quit left and right, citing a lack of support and information from DCF, which is a violation of a federal court settlement. Washington, D.C.'s child welfare director quits, and 1 in 5 Delaware families have parents with no full-time employment. In Florida this week, a review of the foster care system calls for more training for caseworkers and tighter supervision, and child welfare costs have gone up since Florida switched to a privatized system. In Colorado, the legislature strips child protective workers of their immunity from state oversight and regulations. In Illinois, a bill is passed in the House that would take away the driver's licenses of parents who violate custody and visitation agreements. Planned Parenthood of Illinois files a restraining order after Governor Mitch Daniels signs a bill cutting off its government funding. And the battle between gay rights and Catholic charities in regards to the adoption of your children rages on. Missouri lawmakers pass a bill that allows people to donate part of their state income tax refund to the child protective industry. Senator John Kerry of Massachusetts introduces a bill to help lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgendered youth in foster care. Representative Michelle Bachmann of Minnesota sent her foster kids to a school that had banned the book Aladdin because the Disney movie mentioned the word magic. The Oregon House passes a bill making false child abuse reports a crime. And Texas CPS rats are hanging up due to 20-minute hold times on the child abuse hotline. In Wisconsin, news reports of an abandoned baby sparks a sudden interest in desperate to adopt wannabe foster parents. And married couples are now the minority in Tennessee. In China this week, a child trafficking ring is broken up where babies stolen under the guise of enforcement of the country's one-child policy were sold abroad for up to £2,000 apiece. Amnesty International criticizes Ireland's child protection standards, and the Irish child protective industry blames the Catholics, claiming that the church authorities are hampering their work. In India this week, a couple gets their trafficked 6-year-old back after DNA test proves that it's theirs. And India's first ever database of kids available for sale goes live online. Malaysia spreads the wealth around by placing 30 babies from orphanages into its new foster care program. The child protective industry in South Africa gets a court order to end its foster care crisis. And the U.S. government still suspects fraudulent practices in orphanages in Nepal. In Canada this week, a family reunites after 40 years thanks to Facebook. A homeschooling family from Quebec is ordered to send their kids to government-run public schools and daycares. And business is booming in Newfoundland. In England this week, Professor Eileen Munro issues another report suggesting that social workers need to be free to decide what's best for children instead of following government targets and regulations, that social workers should be freed from government red tape, that they should listen more to what the children have to say, that social workers should face random checks, and that the British child protective industry needs to upgrade its computer system. The Somerset County Council sends a teenager's data to the wrong family. The Stafford County Council fails a 12-year-old girl who was molested and murdered by her uncle after social services blew 7 chances to save her. And now the girl's crack-addicted mother plans to sue the child protective industry for not taking her kid away from her, in which case she might be alive today. A judge states that outdated family laws have fueled an alarming rise in marital breakdown, causing damage to millions of children. And although just 38 cases have been reported in the last 5 years, the child protective industry believes that hundreds of cases of children being accused of witchcraft are going unreported each year in the UK. In entertainment news this week, Charlie Sheen can't win against either of his exes. Oksana the Gold Digger has a change of heart against Mel, saying that she probably won't use the tapes against him in their custody case. And Mariah Carey is visited by social workers right after giving birth to twins, being accused by a nurse of drinking and drugging prior to breastfeeding while still in the hospital, which they at first thought was a tabloid scam. In Iowa this week, a lawsuit is filed against DHS for the wrongful death of a teenager who jumped out of a social worker's car to be hit and killed by another. A group of Michigan parents is suing the state and federal court, saying that DHS failed to pay adequate medical subsidies for special needs kids. In Nevada, a real mother sues the Clark County child protective industry and a foster mother over the death of a 3-year-old Las Vegas boy who was found dead with a bag over his head in 2009. In Ohio, a class action lawsuit is filed alleging that the state unfairly collects too much child support money in violation of state statutes and federal regulations regulations. In Tennessee, a mother who left to Japan taking her kids away from a father who had joint custody is ordered to pay the father $6.1 million in damages. And a California mother sues Chuck E. Cheese, claiming that the games intended for kids are actually illegal gambling devices. Colorado couple who abused two adopted Russian sisters avoids a jail sentence but relinquishes parental rights instead. And a Colorado foster mother is arrested but not charged with a baby's abusive head trauma. A Florida childcare worker is arrested for not reporting a baby's injuries to CPS. Several Florida foster children are removed from a home of a foster father who is facing allegations of child molestation from years before in another state. And in Pennsylvania, a third man is found guilty of burning a cross in front of the home of a white foster family who took in an African-American foster child. In Florida, the biological daughter of the adoptive father who killed little Nubia Barona is denied visitations with her own kid. A homeless mother from Connecticut pleads not guilty to enrolling her son in the wrong school district. In two different cases, two parents attempt to rescue kids from Nevada's foster care system. A North Carolina mother loses custody of her kids because she has breast cancer. According to a Consumer Reports survey, Facebook has millions of underage users. In Missouri, an infant accused of carrying a diaper bomb is patted down at a TSA checkpoint. And finally tonight, an Iowa child abuse expert warns social work students to beware of racial bias when snatching children. For these stories and all the latest dirt on the child protective industry, visit www.legallykidnapped.com. And until next week, this is Baby LK, over and out.